Hi everyone, my name is Rich Mason, and today I'm going to give a brief demo on some of the features of the new Gluon release of V Portal. So let me just share my screen. Okay, so I will log in. V Portal is like a large CMS system. It's where we build and manage the knowledge base. The first thing you'll notice when you log into the new V Portal is the new customizable dashboard. And here is a great place to track the performance, gain some insights in how the system is performing. But I'm going to go and jump straight into themes. Themes are one of the main building blocks of the knowledge base. You can think of them kind of like intents. And I'm going to go into this particular theme here. Now, our theme consists of samples, answers, rules, and exclusion rules. I'll come back to exclusion rules in a bit. But the old way of doing things were to use rules, the NLP rules. As you can see, this particular theme has a rule already. This one's quite a simple one. These could get quite large, but either way, it would need a knowledge base engineer to write these rules out. And obviously that takes time and a lot of effort. And they would have to do a lot of testing to make sure these match properly. And alongside the rules, we also had the neural net, or deep matcher as we called it internally. And that would require many samples, 5, 10, maybe even more. And every time you added or removed samples from a theme, you would have to retrain the entire neural net. And that would be, it would take quite a while. Also on themes, we have answers. A theme can have multiple answers. In this instance, this theme has two. We have one that's for the channel of mobile. So this is quite a concise answer. The other answer is for the web. So you can see it's a bit more detailed. Both these answers were written by humans, by knowledge base engineers, but they could just as easily be generated by AI, maybe from an existing document and summarized. In either case, they would have to be approved by someone. So a content manager would still have to approve the content before it gets given to users. Now, moving on to samples, as I mentioned before, with the old neural net, we would have to have multiple samples here. This particular theme needs to match this particular question. And I'm just going to test to make sure that this is not being hit anywhere else in the knowledge base. And I can see here that it's not, so there's no match. So I'm going to add this question to this theme as a sample. And it's been vectorized. So we've now added this sample to this theme, and we've vectorized it and saved that to the database. This happens very quickly, often happens even before the theme itself has been saved. And now if I test the same input against the vector matcher, we can see that it now matches, which isn't that surprising. The same input as the same sample, that's not particularly impressive. But if I enter another question that means the same thing, but written in a different way, you can see that that also matches. Now, we've found with vector matcher that rather than having to have multiple samples, we can get away with just one. That's often good enough, but we do suggest that you have two. And I'll explain why in a second. But so because we want to have two, I will add another one, but I'm not going to come up with one myself. I'm going to let the AI give me some options to choose from to add as a sample. So I'll just let it do its thing. And here we go. I think this one actually is pretty good. So I'll add that to the samples. And that's also been vectorized. Now, the reason we suggest having two samples is because of the proprietary system that we've introduced called confusion reports. This is a value add on top of vectorization that we've developed, and we can either run a full confusion report against the whole knowledge base, or we can run a local confusion report just against this particular theme, which I'm going to run now. And it's already done, and it shows that actually these two themes are fine. We've got the green checks here. If there was an issue, we'd get either a warning sign or an error. Basically, this is saying that these samples are close enough, but don't overlap too much. So these are good samples to use for this particular thing. The other way we are able to control the model is by using a new feature called exclusion rules. And just to better demonstrate that, I'll move into another theme that actually has an exclusion rule attached to it. So in this instance, we want to respond to the question, my card has been blocked, can I still get some money? And that's fine. We've got a couple of samples here to match that. But in this instance, if we know that the user has their account on hold, then we should not give this particular thing. So it's just an extra way to make sure that even though the sample matches perfectly against the user's input, if we are in a certain situation, we shouldn't give this particular theme. And here it is because the user's account is on hold. So far, I've just been testing against the local themes. But if I come down here and go to the global testing window, I can test against the full knowledge base as it currently stands in staging. I'll just make sure I'm in the correct business area, start a new session. And if I enter the question that I had before, you can see that I get the correct answer. But here it's highlighting the fact that we didn't use the rule-based NLP, we've actually used the vector matcher to match this particular input. This particular knowledge base is using the OpenAI's GPT 3.5 large language model, but we can use pretty much any language model. For instance, we would be able to use Google's Palm 2 that's just been released, Amazon Titan, and we also can use local or on-premise large language models to do the vectorization. And it's just as simple as adding them and switching them out in the configuration, and then setting your options for each of the large language models. So another feature that's been greatly improved that I want to show in the Gluon release of V Portal are flows. A flow is like a structured conversation. In this instance, for example, a user is asked about replacing their card. They've been brought into this particular flow, and then they can get taken down various different branches of this flow. And then I can open one of these nodes. I can see the details of it. I can then click in, I can see the answer, I can edit the answer of this flow. I could add a sample to it. I could add rules to it. It's just a nice all-in-one UI to be able to edit quite structured flows in the knowledge base. Okay, well, there's a lot more that I could show, but I'm running out of time. So if you would like to know more, please do contact us. We can give you more info and demonstrations.